What's up guys, Bloodshed here. Welcome to the Necromancer Starter Build Survival Guide for Diablo 3 patch 2.6.7 and Season 19. What we do in these guides here is take you from zero to hero, give you recommendations of what I would do personally every step of the journey, all the way up to max level recommendations. Now the best way to start off any seasonal journey, any new season, is to save your challenge rift. The challenge rift already reset this week. The season starts on Friday, so if you haven't done it yet, do not do it. Okay, you have to 2 more days and then you can do it. Wait till the season starts. The reason why we save it is because we get a nice bag of goodies. We can do a Hope of Cain or a weapon upgrade. We can put that weapon in the cube if you want, because we have cube materials, we have extra DVs, we have blood shards. We can roll blood shards at level 1 to get some type of multiplier effect. So that's usually where we begin, is what are we going to spend our level 1 blood shards on every single season. Well, for Necromancers this season, we get the Rathma set. The Rathma set is really good for group speed runs. It's real good synergy using Singularity Mages and a support Necromancer to boost your globes and crowd control everything and keep everything perma-stun for Crispin Sentence and increase our chance to crit, all kinds of stuff. It's a really good speed composition early. The only problem is the 2-piece doesn't really give us power, the 4-piece gives us damage reduction, and the 6-piece doesn't really even give us that much power. It's not the best set overall. We definitely need some help along the way. But there is hope, young Necromancers out there. If you roll blood shards at level 1, you have a 1 in 2 chance, a 50-50 chance to get a skeletal mage ring if you get an ancient, of course. But it's a really high probability, and this is basically going to be your whole life early season, is to try to get a skeletal mage ring. Legacy of Dreams Laud mage build is going to be your best bounty build, your best key farm build. It works great with Rathma, which is the start we just looked at. So you're going to roll rings this time around. If you get to 70 and you don't have it yet, you're going to farm low-level content until you get enough blood shards to get a ring. Make another level 1 Necromancer. Roll rings, and until you get it. That's pretty much your number 1 strat this season, is to really try to get this ASAP. With Necromancer, I would even upgrade rings at 70 with my Death's Breaths. It's the most important thing. You can also get a really good Necromancer ring called Crispin Sentence that gives you a 300% multiplier when you're stunning enemies like this. 75 to 100%, and it's tripled against enemies that are affected by any other movement impairing effect like freeze or stuns. So this ring and the Circle of Nigel's Evil, which is basically Julian's love backwards, is the rings you want to go for. But Bloodshed, are we gonna have a multiplier, man? Like, how are we going to actually get to that point where we get the ring? What if we don't get it? Well, there's only 4 possible 2-handed scythes in the game, and they're all really good. At least they're solid at the very least. And since we have the challenge rift bag like we talked about, we have enough materials to do a upgrade. So we're going to run and get the cube early with Necro. Unlike the other classes, we wait till 30 or so. With the Necromancer, I would go immediately after I do my boss bounty and I come back to town and I'm like level 3 or 4, I'd probably just start heading to Secheron and get this cube and upgrade right away. And you can use that power early on. The 4 possible weapons you can get is the Bloodtide Blade, which synergizes with Death Nova. And that big AoE around your character does tons of damage, 400 per enemy. It does struggle on single target, but it's enough to get through the Greater Rift. The Maltorius's Petrified Spike does up to 700% damage to Bone Spear, which is enough to get us through the GR20 clear. Nayr's Black Death is one of my favorites because not only does it get you through the GR20 clear, get you through the game, all you have to do is use poison skills, so there's lots of variety with this ability, and it synergizes great with the Rathma set, at least early on. And probably the best thing to get for endgame is Reilena's Shadow Hook. It gives you damage for every point of max essence you have. So this again synergizes with our mages endgame. All 4 of these are good, but these bottom 2 would really be good endgame. You might get them while leveling. Reilena starts dropping at 20, Maltorius starts dropping at 25. So you might get one of these just, naturally playing through the game. And I recommend with Necro you just do rifts, because you have a higher chance to get legendaries and rifts and then hopefully you can get one of these weapons or even another one of these weapons. The one-handed scythes are also really good to pick up. But there's about a 2 out of 4 chance to get a good scythe, but there's a 100% chance to get a good two-handed scythe. So your season journey is secure, your season is secure. Every season with Necromancer, as long as you upgrade weapons, you basically can't make a mistake. I'm gonna have builds on each of these. There's gonna be 4 different starter builds in the description. I'll go over them later when we talk about the GR20 clear. So at this point, you would know which of the 4 weapons you have, and that's basically how you would build while leveling up. Obviously, if you got the Bone Spear weapon, you'd use Bone Spear the whole way while leveling. A lot of these runes are good. Teeth is kind of like a little multi-shot ability, kind of spreads out, does damage. And Shatter's my favorite. It has a small AoE. It's 15 yards is pretty substantial actually. It does 500% damage and has a 500 AoE. It's really good. But you can use any one you like. A Blighted Marrow does more damage every enemy it passes through, so it has a nice stacking skill shot there. You get Death Nova at level 12. You can use, again, any of the runes. My favorite one was the one that puts a debuff on the target. Leave a lingering path of blight on the ground, slowing enemies and causing them to do less damage to you. I like using this, and I like stacking it with the poison passive. It's right up here called Rigor Mortis. It slows them down, right, and it lowers their attack speed. So they're just basically not hitting you as hard, and Necro always needs help kiting and not taking damage. And then the poison rune, you just use the poison weapon, rather, you just do all the poison skills you want. Really not a mistake. For mages, I like the poison mages, contamination. You get them at level 15, they're really good. And for Reilenas, you can use, again, any skill you want. But I'd probably use archers or like even singularity later on. Any of these mages will be good with Reilenas. I'm gonna play the level video so you guys have a quick refresher, and I'll catch you back in a minute. All right, let's do a 1 to 70 leveling recap for everybody. So you make your character, you set it to adventure mode, which you can do every single season. You don't have to do the campaign if you're playing during an active season. I would set it to at least hard difficulty for everybody. Log in. Immediately grab your follower weapon. It depends on what class you're playing. Enchantress, Templar, or Scoundrel might be better for you. I'm gonna go to the Templar. I'm gonna hire him also, and I'm going to swap weapons with him. His weapon is way better. It actually varies, but right now you can see he has 68 damage, and mine is 2 to 3 damage. So it's like double my DPS. You can also swap shields. You can hit F1 on your keyboard, equip whatever wings you want for the season, whatever pet to help you pick up gold on your travels. From here, I like to immediately log out and go do the challenge rift. Do that whether you're doing it solo or in a group, and then immediately log back in. You're level 1. You can open up your challenge rift bag right now if that's what the guide tells you to do. Every character is going to have maybe a different strategy every season. But yeah, then you run to Kadath, spend your shards here. If you get the item you want, I would put it in my stash space if you're on hardcore, because if you die, then you'll lose it, mess up your whole start. If you're on softcore, you can just leave it in your inventory till 16, or you can throw it in your stash, obviously. What I do right here at level 1, after I spend my blood shards, is I go look for a boss bounty. You ideally want a Zoltan cool bounty, so it'll say like kill Zoltan, right? Or Magda's the second best, it'll say kill Magda. The only third one I really like is Azmodan, and we didn't get any of them, right? So if you get any of those 3, I would go do it. But if you don't get it, you can always just literally go to Act 1 and go to Halls of Agony 3, and I would do 3, and then 2, and then 1. If you're on softcore, you could also go to Act 2, Temple of the Firstborn. There's tons of density here, and you should get to level 8 really quickly. You could also flip it once or twice, especially if you have like an SSD on your PC or something. It doesn't take that long to just relog in, or if you're in a 4-player group, you say, hey guys, let's relog and look for Zoltan. Or all 4 of you guys can do it separately, and whoever gets Zoltan or Magda invites everyone to their group. That's even way more efficient because you have 4 times the chances, right? So you can see right here, it says Zoltan Cool and kill Zoltan Cool. So we got the bounty. We're still level 1. We're gonna jump over here. The reason why it's so important is because you get a Horadric cache attached to it. And we have a souped up weapon from our Templar, so it should be really easy. Let's go do Zoltan here. I have my hands on the keyboard. Okay, let's go. And another trick is when you kill the ads, either Magda or Zoltan, with Magda, you don't get the XP until they fully form. Like the ads have like this weird thing where they spawn in. Once they fully spawn in, you get XP from them. And the golems, you get XP right away. You're killing the golems and you level, and your level up explosion actually does tons of damage, and you actually kill Zoltan with your explosion. So I'll show you. So I'm hitting him, and boom, right? You get this huge AoE pop. So you want to kill the golem around the density. So when you level up, you get that huge explosion. It kills everything, just like that. But this whole process is literally less than a minute. You just look for the bounty. You don't have it. You relog. Okay, there's Zoltan or Magda. Boom, you run to it, and then you kill it, and then that's it. And then all of a sudden you have, you know, I got 3 pants. So normally you don't get 3 pairs of pants. And a lot of times you get weapons from this. So there's a weapon right off the bat right here, right? So it's unfortunately the one weapon we can't use, but we also did end up at level 3. You can actually do this higher difficulty than hard, but I recommend do it on hard unless you're a veteran. So you hit level 8, that's really important because that's when we're gonna craft a weapon or a bow. You wanna head to the blacksmith. You can see we have a level 8 bow available, and we should have a level 8 two-handed axe. It's really cheap. It only costs 4 reusable parts and 4 arcane dust. You can see all the materials I have. I have plenty of stuff to make it. The axe is about a 96% upgrade. It's at least double the damage from what I had. Make sure you check back every 5 levels or so. That's the only thing you need to keep updated. Your gear is gonna constantly fall behind. Don't worry about it. I personally just like to do rifts from level 8 all the way to 70. I feel like I get better legendaries, better loot, better equipped for the whole game, basically. I have lots of crafting materials and things like that to get me going. So I recommend rifts. You can even do rifts from level 1. You don't have to get to level 8 quickly with the halls method. If you're in a 4-player group, you can jump right into rifts from the beginning. You don't even have to try to run to other places and do these massacres or run to the cube. You can literally just do rifts, right? So that's just my leveling path. I grab the follower weapon, I go get a boss bounty, and then I go to the Halls of Agony to level 8. At level 8, I craft my big weapon, and then with that weapon, I'm able to do rifts the rest of the way. When you hit level 10 or so, rings and amulets become available. That's huge for us. They have plus damage on them. And since we got 5 million from our challenge rift bag, we can basically afford anything, right? The easiest ones I like to check is in Act 5 and Act 2. Act 5, it's right here, right by the waypoint. But in all acts, they have a fence in their name. And even if you look at the mini map, you can see it says fence on the mini map also. Like I said, you want to look for things with plus damage on them, and it gives you a huge DPS increase. But honestly, any ring is good. It's better than what you have. And again, we have so much money, you might as well buy them anyway. While you're leveling, the red gems are way more important than anything else. They give you that plus damage, like we talked about on your amulet. You socket them into your weapon. And you also put them in your helmet. If you have a socket in your helm, it gives you a bonus to XP gain. It's always a good idea to save legendaries that you get along the way that have multipliers on them. Like this new item, Remorseless, it gives you a huge damage increase to Hoda. Even low level legendaries can be cubed for their maximum value later on if you want to do so, because you never know what you're going to build into. Even better, they increase the drop chance of the Legacy of Dream Gem. So you should get this on your 2nd or 3rd Greater Rift at level 70. What this does is it allows us to play without sets. You can see even at rank 0, it gives you damage for each legendary item you have equipped. So if you have like a hodgepodge collection of legendaries, you can throw on a bunch of like mid to low level gear and get like a damage bonus right when you hit 70, like after 1 or 2 little baby GRs. It's a really beautiful progression path. If you get it to 25, you get almost 100% damage for each item, and it's doubled for ancients. I'm not saying hoard everything, but if you do, you can actually use the Lod Gem early with all your stuff. If you want to know what level 70 weapon to roll with reduced level requirement on it, I would go for a one-handed mace, you guessed it again, for 3 out of the 4 weapons. But if I got Reilena's Shadow Hook, you actually get damage based on max essence. So I would actually make a scythe and still try to get reduced level requirement on a scythe. Just because that's what your damage is actually based off of. You can even make a 2-handed scythe to make it easy for you so you don't have to keep up with the offhand. So yeah, if you get Reilena's, remember your max damage is scaling off of your essence. So later on when you get Paragon, make sure to put it in your Paragon and then get it on your weapons. This mace is really good. You can see you leave the crowd control on the weapon and you roll the secondary. Whatever the secondary effect is, roll it off. Leave on all the crowd control. At level 60 to 70, Reaper of Souls gear starts to drop, and it's a really good thing. You can get some rare stuff, rare jewelry. You want to look for double crit, double main stat type items. You want that bulk, and you want to hit hard, and you want to crit when you do hit often. So double crit, double main stat, and keep an eye out for jewelry. I would love to use like low level jewelry over like a higher level piece that just isn't as good, you know? When you hit level 70, your main goal, of course, is to complete up to chapter 4, and you want to get your 6-piece Hadrig with Rathma. You should have no problem up to T4 or so with the items you get in the cube from your upgrade, right? So you should have no problem farming up to T4. Honestly, your main goal as a Necromancer is to get those 2 rings that I said. It's just gonna really help you out tremendously with all the builds that you're gonna play, not only now up until the end of the season, right? The Crispin Sentence and the Julian's Love Ring are used in basically your best builds for group farming, for solo speed farming, for bounties, for even solo pushing. So if you have a group of people, it's cool. You can hang out with them and speed farm with them and keep jumping on your level 1 alt, rolling shards. This is gonna be your life. You're gonna say, okay, I'll be right back, guys, rolling on an alt. You're gonna switch to your level 1 alt and you're gonna log back in and you're gonna roll blood shards for that ring until you get it. For Crispins, you're gonna use your actual Death's Breaths and you're going to upgrade rings until you get a Crispin Sentence, right? Those are your 2 huge damage increases. Remember, the first Greater Rift you do every single season, you get a Bane of the Powerful. That's gonna give you a flat 20% damage increase. Really powerful. One of your main recommendations for Necromancer is to go kill Malthiel at max level, you know, solo or with your group. You get this pattern called Reaper's Wraps, and we can craft them immediately because of the Challenge Rift cache that we kept. And they're going to give you resource based on globe pickup, and they are great with all 4 builds we're going to showcase today. They're good with your starter Rathma set as well, as you're going to need resources to keep up your skeletal mage. It's really important. A really good item, don't forget, Reaper's Wrap synergizes greatly with, there's a passive called Life from Death. Consuming a corpse has a chance to spawn a globe. And pretty much all Necromancers are doing is killing, consuming corpses, and those corpses are spawning globes, and those globes are further feeding your Reaper's Wraps. So it's really good synergy, and I would basically use these on every build. And 10 out of 10 recommend you grab this and you grab your Bane of the Powerful right out the gate. That way you're kind of set up for success. And don't forget, max essence here, max essence here. If you're rocking Reilenas. If you don't have Reilenas, then you don't actually need that. As you can see, I'm kind of reiterating, trying to drive home the really important things about the class. But there's a lot of other stuff you can do if you get the Captain Crimson set or the AUG Guild set. If you took a few seasons off, they added a Sage set and it doubles the amount of DBs that drop. So it's a great way to get those DBs early to then upgrade more rings and just go on this kind of loop of trying to get the upgrades. They added a thing called the Captain Crimson set. The 3-piece gives you damage based on your cooldown and gives you 20% cooldown on the 2-piece. The other part of the 3-piece gives you damage reduction based on your reduced cost resource. And you can see the 2-piece gives us reduced cost resource. Really powerful. You can get it from a green Odious Collector Goblin, or you can get it from bounties. Even hard difficulty bounties can drop this. They also updated the AUG Guild set where you get reduced damage taken and increased damage dealt to elites and non-elites alike. So really good sets that you can actually pair early on with your character. You might need the Ring of Royal Grandeur to kind of bind them together, but you have to do bounties anyway for your season journey, so you might get lucky and land them. You want to run effective torments for Rathma. If you're by yourself or you're in a group with all Rathma Necromancers, for instance, you guys should probably stick on T4 until you get a few items and gradually work yourself up. I would recommend. It's just not as powerful as other sets right out the gate. We had to really stretch our know-how to make it decent. It's decent, but I would say your efficient torment level is 4 even after you get your 6-piece. Maybe 5, maybe T5 after you get your 6-piece bonus. So bear that in mind. You want to focus on efficiency. I'm going to play the torment video if you want to learn a few more things about it. People ask me a lot of time about what torment levels should you do early on, and this is a quick breakdown on that. So Torment 1 is your first big breakpoint. This is when set items start dropping. And that's your first goal, is to get T1 ready, which you basically are if you follow any of these starter guides, survival guides. And your second breakpoint that you want to shoot for is T7. You typically can get to T7 when you get your 6-piece set. Sometimes you can get it with your 4-piece if you have some multipliers to push you forward or some survivability. The reason why T7 is so much better than say T6 is it goes from 75% chance to get a DB to almost guaranteed to 90%. So if it's if you can just squeeze a little bit farther, you can go to T7. It's a nice jump right there. And that's true with T11 versus T10. On T11, you basically have a guaranteed chance to get a second Death's Breath versus T10, it's only 50. So it's like a coin flip and then versus almost basically guaranteed. And I would honestly stick on T11 over all the other difficulties until you're T16 ready. Just because you're gonna get that second key or that second DB, you're gonna get the second key also. And if T11's great, you know, you're speed farming, you're cruising and bruising. And as soon as you feel like you're ready, you can go up gradually if you like, that's totally fine. But this is kind of what I think of. In my mind, every season, I have these like break points, or I have these goals rather. I'm like T1, T7, T11, and then T16. No Paragon in the making of this video, nothing beneficial in the cube other than Reilena's Shadow Hook. We're only using the 4-piece set bonus here. With Reilena's, we're basically doing a Singularity build. So you want to just basically cast the Singularity spell. Let me number lock this here. Yeah, you just basically want to use Singularity spell, and you should have no problem with single target especially. Really good Rift Guardian potential. You can use your generator to get your resource back and just spam Singularity. You can use Blood Rush to reposition, keep up Bone Armor for your survivability. But this is one of the more chiller play styles because again, you're getting that damage off of everything. Also, we need to proc our 4-piece, we need to attack with a pet. So as long as you're using Skeletal Mage or Command Skeletons, you should be totally fine. Let's jump over here and kill this elite so you guys can see some actual. There we go. We got some nice progression on that. I mean, he didn't die, but we almost actually one-shot that guy. Here's he at like half health already. Go over here and chase him down. Just hold down Bone Spike. Reilena's gives you a bonus to resource gained when you're using Bone Spike. So that's basically going to be your main generator with Reilena's. If you hover over the item, it does show you. You get 5 extra resource, I believe. That's going to be your main damage. So as you can see, we're just trucking along. You'll have no problem getting through the rift. And again, you'll have that Bane of the Powerful. You'll be clicking pylons and things like that, right? You'll have other legendaries probably. So you can see we're killing this guy. We got our resources back and we're 100% pulling ahead of the rift. Necro kind of needs this because none of their 2 and 4 pieces really give you power. You could say there's a little bit of power with like Pestilence, but they don't actually give you power like the other classes do. So the fact that every single season you can go through and upgrade a 2-hander and now you have something that'll carry you throughout the early game is really amazing. With the Nayr Start, you get 100% damage for each poison skill you use, and you have to keep them up almost like a Tel Rasha sub bonus. That's 1 poison, 2 poisons. I love this for single target. I love mages for area. So that's 1, 2, 3 for Bone Spirit, and 4 for Dislocation. You can drop Blood Rush if you want to carry that 5th, but I really like Cannibalize and Blood Rush in the build, so I wouldn't use it, but you definitely could if you want to squeeze out some more juice out of it. You'll see the counter down here. So we'll cast 1, cast a Mage, 2, Dislocation 3, and Bone Spirit 4. I like to use Bone Spirit for like those pesky elites and your Rift Guardian. It's going to do a lot of damage on the Rift Guardian. And like I said earlier, this is one of my favorite starts because of the freedom. You can kind of play any poison or blight skill, I guess is what they're called. Any blight skill that you want, and it does synergize with the Rathma 6-piece. So this is one of the bangers to get. If you get this, you're in good shape. Let's continue to work throughout the rift and find some elites. Okay, we got an elite up here. I'm gonna throw some Bone Spirits on them. There we go. Cast some Skeletal Mages, throw another Bone Spirit in there. You can kind of stay mid or long range and stay out of harm's way. Throw a few Bone Spirits on this guy. We got the kill. And again, you can see how fast we're pulling ahead in these rifts. You basically have a nice multiplier and you should have no problem getting through the rift with Reilena's or with Nayr's Black Death. Let's get one more kill here. Throw a Bone Spirit in the middle of that crowd. Throw some mages in there. I like to stun them too with Dislocation when I know I'm running in. The only bad thing about the poison rune is it actually fears and it can be problematic like that. Sometimes they run away and it's annoying. Boom, got the big hit. So, and then single target's really easy as well, because again, we have Bone Spirit and 400% damage increase is really nice. The next two we have to cover are Death Nova and Maltorius. Now these ones are more resource intensive than the other two. So I definitely would recommend, getting those Reaper's Wraps if you have them. And you can even use a Topaz in the helm for 10% reduced resource cost, as we're going to be spamming a lot more. But the Bloodtide Blade focuses on Death Nova, and you want to jump in the thick of it and blow things up. You can actually stay at range. We have a 25-yard AoE. You do incredible damage when you have density around you. Remember, it is 400% increased damage for each enemy. So if you get like in the middle or you line them up, you're just doing, they have to be within 25 yards of you. You're doing a lot of damage, but once the density subsides a little bit, you can see it's a little bit slower to get the damage going. And you want to make sure you have, don't drop Command Skeleton. Remember, you need to have pets with the Rathma set. Rathma set's giving us 50% damage reduction. That's how we're not a little squishy Necro right now. We're actually surviving because of the 4-piece Rathma set. But really good set. Again, run in the density, blow things up. When you get the Rift Guardian, it can be a little sad. So just deal with it. It's only one clear you have to deal with, and then you get your 6-piece. And then it's not as bad, at least for a while. You have like a little bit more of a boost. So we'll cover that when we get to that. We'll cross that bridge, but you can see again, real easy to get to the Rift Guardian. The Rift Guardian could take like a few minutes, but you're so far ahead at that point, you'll be okay. You can even save a pylon if you wanted, and then run back, and that'll help you kill it, like some kind of power pylon or something like that. And the good thing is you can use all these while leveling. So you're not, this is not just a one and done that you're using for the GR20 clear. You're gonna have this Bloodtide Blade from like literally level 1 all the way up to your GR20 clear, and even beyond if you wanna build into Legacy of Dreams or something like that. The last one we have is Maltorius Bone Spike. Again, another spender build. Look at Reaper's Wraps. Look at your Bane of the Powerful gem. Let's switch to our marquee and get back in the GR. This time I'll actually put a Topaz in my helm here, just so we can spam a little bit more. This doesn't have the power of Bloodtide Blade, but it has better single target. It's like a mix between the two. It's like decent AoE and decent single target, but it doesn't have incredible AoE, or it doesn't have incredible single target like Singularity does. But it's pretty cool. Again, you just keep up your bone armor and you throw out these spears and you're good to go. Let's look for some density. I don't want to die. And then you just, so you can see like this giant bone spear is exploding on impact. You can probably honestly use any rune that you want. This is just the one that I enjoyed the most. And there's passives that do further boost this as well. And I kind of feel it when I'm using it. And let's go look for an elite here. Push down a little bit further. Keep up my bone armor. I do tap my generator here and there to keep up my resource as well. But you can see like when I'm around density, that's when I shine. And when I'm on single target fights, it's just kind of like not enough progression. Okay, we got an elite pack here, a fire chain pack. And it might be, oh, it's health link. I was wondering what took so long. So we'll sit here and we'll kill it just to kind of show the power of it. They are running away from each other, so it's kind of hard to get the 500% AoE proc. So in this situation, Blight would be better, but you can see it's not difficult. And again, we only have to do this for one GR where we're pushing our character this far. And once we get our 6-piece, it's a lot easier. So I'm gonna play this one a little bit more since it didn't look so good like the other ones. But this is one of my favorite starts actually, because it does feel pretty versatile as well. I don't mind this start. I could definitely play Bone Spear. And like I said, there's 2 legendaries that support it, and it's kind of nice to have a little bit more synergy on your character. You can maybe keep up Power Shift and go super try hard and keep it at 10 stacks. I'm not sure if it actually affects it though. I never tested it. It says it gives you 10% damage when you have 10 stacks, so you can actually weave it in here. But it might just be additive because I don't really see a big change visually. Oh, we got 2 yellows here, so if we could do this, we can do anything, right? Yeah, I did all 4 of these builds. I played them all the GR20 clear. I sold the Rift Guardians. All the Rift Guardians I got were really bad. They didn't have that many ads, like Ember and guardians like that. So it wasn't too bad at all. If they weren't running from me, chat. Okay, let's throw some more bone spears. Let's just get in the middle. We do have 50% damage reduction from Rathma, so not the end of the world. There we go, look at that. Starting to pull away. And we get a second kill here before he splits. And then there we go. There's a nice, even on a bad map, we got nice pulled ahead, really good there. And again, you can save pylons for the Rift Guardian if you want to just make sure that it goes smoother. Once you do this, you claim your prize, you get the mailbox down here, and you get your 6-piece Rathma set. I think with just about every other class in the game, once you get your 6-piece, you're out of the woods. Like, it's pretty much GGT7. I was trying to think of a worse 6-piece starter with nothing. So this is the 6-piece starter with one of the rings that we talked about, the Julian's ring. This is like a really good start. Just with the one ring, it totally changes the set. With your 6-piece bonus, each active skeletal mage increases the damage of your minions and Army of the Dead by up to 4,000%. So it's really tough to keep up 4 mages if you don't have the ring. So you need to keep up at least 4 to get your max bonus. And honestly, 4 mages isn't really doing that much work for you. You need to have like 8 mages. 6 to 8 is like doubling your DPS. If you think about it, 4 and then 8, right? So it's like double the mages, double your DPS. So this ring effectively doubles your power. That's why I told you to go out of your way to get it no matter what. But we don't have this ring, right? Or we supposedly don't have it. I have to give you guys a build without it. So herein lies the 6-piece starter with no skeletal mage ring. It's actually pretty tragic. So what we're doing to really squeeze every ounce of DPS out of our character is to use a topaz in our weapon for thorns damage, right? I would upgrade it if you have it. And worst case scenario, later on, you can actually put it in your gear because Necromancers wear topaz in their gear. The animator Thorns passive gives your minions gain 200% of your Thorns damage. So I don't really go out of my way to roll Thorns damage. So without the actual weapon itself, I don't have that much. I only have 7k, which I have it on like 2 or 3 items only. Is 7k, it's about 2,000 per item, as you can see right here. So I do put in my weapon, and if I was really worried, I would go out of my way to roll it or look for items with it while leveling. If you don't get the skeletal mage ring and you hit level 60 and you're like, okay, I might need to think about my 6-piece, right? I feel like I really notice it. You don't have to use it. This is just what I would do with the build, is I would just throw this passive on there and start spamming mages, right? So if you have the juice from like Captain Crimson set or AW Guild set, or you have a multiplier that synergizes with this, like maybe you don't have Crispins, but you have like Convention of Elements or Stone of Jordan, maybe you consider not focusing on Thorns and just focusing on normal DPS. But this is just basically if you have nothing. I just want to show you guys and give you all the tools there to succeed, right? I would jump to like a T5 level, honestly. I just feel like it's safer overall. And your whole goal is to get that skeletal mage ring, and then your season's good to go from there. So we're gonna cast our mages, cast Army of the Dead on cooldown, and start spamming right away. I actually want to number lock this Devour here. And yeah, spam your mages and spam all your cooldowns, and you should have no problem. Whenever they're hitting your pets, they're also taking that extra damage. I feel like it's really noticeable when you have this Thorns passive. It just gives you an extra little kick. Let's see. Like, it's almost like your pets are killing everything and we have no legendary gems, right? It's because when you have 4 mages out, you're getting 4,000% damage. So remember to keep up at least 4, and your Thorns also gets boosted from that damage. So you want to keep up 4, and you want to do all you can to DPS. You just want to get through this. This is the dark days, you want to get through this. I did test it on T7. It is viable, but I just wouldn't recommend it. I would just keep it fast and keep it efficient. That's where you want to be at, right? And you can even use those DBs and upgrade and get other multipliers. So best of luck to you, Nephilim. Today on stream, I went through and updated my Rathma bounty build, and then I was like, wait, what about like an all-purpose build that you can use until you get your Lod mages or until you get your other items? So the first thing you'd build into is maybe something like this. I call it the multi-purpose build. I just made it basically today. It just uses the Captain Crimson set. This is like something you would build into first, right? So it's a little bit of everything. But eventually you're going to build into a Legacy of Dreams build similar to this. This type of build is used in the speed runs. You can actually play Rathma if you get all the gear and in a speed run early. But yeah, this is what you would build into for like speed runs, for bounties, for T16. It's a really good key farmer. It's probably like one of the top 3 or 4 in the game for key farming. And it's real chill. You just cast the mages and run around and pick stuff up because they're targeting for you. You actually don't have to target anything. Necromancers are in the infamous rat runs, air quotes, where you use the singularity spell, and other necromancers, like I said, boost your abilities to summon more mages, more mages, more mages. So you're in my opinion, the fastest speed comp in the game. The only downside is people have been doing rat runs for over 2 years now and they're tired of it. So there might be less and less runs out there. I'm not sure what the consensus is of the community. One thing I do know is everyone's sick of rat runs. So a lot of people are going to be doing barbarian speeds. And it does look like they're going to take Crusaders for the Rift Guardian killer. So my Necros out there, you do have the best speed comp. How many people play it and how easy it is to get groups is to be determined. We don't know how it's going to shake out. The best 4-man pushing is normally Necromancer Thorns. But again, I don't know how many are going to get taken and people are not just going to go with Crusader. So here's the 4-man normal leaderboard. It just got reset today. There's no Necromancers on here, but again, you have to do a lot of fishing for Necro, and Thorns is a little bit finicky to play. It's more of a particular play style. Right now, the leaderboard just got reset, and people are clearing with Satyrs as the RGK. But Necro is still viable, just like they're viable for speed runs, but I think people are just have done it for so long, and they might be sick of it. So I guess you have the power, I just don't know what's gonna happen. So I have to give you guys all the information possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for so much support on all my videos. Whoever takes the time to just hit the like button or share it with their friends or lurk in stream or chat in stream or open up their hearts and their wallets and support even further. Everything means a lot. It's like we all come together as a community to make all this possible for me. So thank you guys again for all the support. Yeah, that's gonna be all for me today. This is the Bloodshed, and I'm out of here. Peace.